Last week, I explored how we've ended up living inside digital systems that most people don't understand. Today, I'm going to lift the hood on those systems. You see, even though the digital world is complex by design, its basic structure, the skeleton that lives underneath, is actually much simpler than it seems. And I think that we should all at least understand that structure to demystify the technology that surrounds us. Because when we do, suddenly the devices and systems we rely on every day start to make a lot more sense. Let's dive in. It's important to highlight a simple but vital reality. Your phone or computer is not the center of your digital world, it's just a doorway into it. We've moved away from technology that lives in a single place. Instead, most modern devices are just gateways that allow us access to a vast global infrastructure. They do a bit of stuff locally, but a lot of what happens occurs elsewhere. Take something simple like opening a photo on your phone. When you click on it and the photo appears on your screen, it might be a low-resolution version of the image or proxy that's stored on your device. But the full-resolution source file might live in a data center thousands of miles away. This is all about optimizing storage. It means the devices we use don't have to contain reams of data we only use occasionally. Many people don't realize this because their photos or files just appear when they need them to. And because the data is retrieved almost instantly via the internet, it feels seamless. But the result of this is that most people are oblivious to the vast systems working behind the scenes to support things they rely on every day. Clearly, everyone should know that the technology they use works in this way. We should all understand that devices are now just terminals into an invisible system, an enormous network of other machines. But many don't. This is an important gap in our education, and I think it needs to change. The invisible system is made up of many machines known as servers that live inside data centers, colossal buildings we never get to see. Data centers often contain tens of thousands of computers all running constantly. You know, when people talk about how bad digital tech is for the environment, well, they're often referring to things like this. That's because these places consume a lot of electricity every minute of every day. The thousands of data centers that exist around the globe form the infrastructure we refer to quite casually as the cloud. But the cloud obviously isn't something mysterious floating in the sky. Instead, it's this vast collection of remote, power-hungry computers that store and process our data very much at ground level. In fact, because we use the term cloud so much these days, a lot of people now think that the internet, or most of the internet, floats wirelessly around us, but that's not really true. 99% of international data passes through physical cables on the ocean floor. Anyway, when you send a message, stream a TV show, or open an online document, servers are doing most of the work. Your device is simply an interface that allows you to access a vital network. And that's perhaps the most important difference in how modern devices behave compared to older technology. A calculator worked as a standalone device. It didn't need an internet connection. But a smartphone only reaches its full potential when it's plugged into the system. Without that connection, while still a mind-blowingly powerful pocket computer, it wouldn't be able to do half the things that you need it to. Okay, so let's talk about how all of this information moves, because the internet isn't an abstract concept. It's physical infrastructure made of millions of cables, routers, and data centers. I think it helps to visualize it as being a bit like running water. Data flows through networks in much the same way that water flows through pipes. The device you use simply opens the tap. There are two main ways most devices access this flow: Wi-Fi and cellular networks. Wi-Fi connects your device to the internet through a wired-in local router, whereas cellular networks connect you through the air via mobile towers. Smartphones continually switch between these two connections depending on which one is available. It's a bit like choosing between two taps connected to the same water supply. Regardless of how it accesses the flow, once connected, data begins moving back and forth extremely quickly. Almost every time you use an app, your device is constantly sending and receiving tiny packets of information. Not 1 or 2 packets a minute, these exchanges happen thousands of times every second. Going back to the photo example, if you open an image stored on Google Drive, the data that makes up the photo may exist in several places. A single photo stored in a cloud service is usually copied across multiple servers in different locations. This helps protect the data if one machine fails, but it also allows the file to load quickly no matter where you are in the world. When your device accesses a server, it usually chooses the one closest to you. The other servers further away just act as mirrors, making sure your data never disappears. So when you open a photo, your device might retrieve it from the hard drive that's on the device or from a server in another country. This constant movement of information happens at a scale that's impossible for us to wrap our heads around. Globally, the internet now carries hundreds of petabytes of data every single day. A petabyte is 1 million gigabytes, and a gigabyte of data could make up 1,000 images. This means that billions of photos, videos, messages, and documents are moving through networks constantly. It's like a chaotic, invisible city that exists all around us, with trillions of vehicles moving at the speed of light. Your phone alone might exchange hundreds of megabytes or even gigabytes of data every day. Most of this movement occurs behind the scenes. We're completely unaware of it happening, but it is happening constantly in the background. Synchronizing files, backing up photos, updating apps, and checking for new messages. This is why the digital world feels magical. But it isn't. A torrent of data needs to crisscross the planet every second just to keep everything ticking over. And the device you're watching this on now is just one tiny doorway into that vast system. Once you understand this basic structure, a lot of everyday digital frustrations start to make sense. If your internet connection drops, many apps stop working or don't work properly because the tap has been turned off and the data your device relies on is no longer flowing. If a file won't load, it may simply mean that your device can't retrieve it from the cloud. And if an app stops working properly, it might not be able to get some of that vital code it needs from another location. Understanding this basic system map changes how you think about and approach technology. You stop seeing devices as isolated tools and start to see them for what they actually are: access points into a global network. Whether you're a professional, student, or someone who wants to back up their photos, this perspective is becoming increasingly important because modern life and work depends heavily on cloud platforms, communication systems, and remote infrastructure. The more clearly you understand how these systems connect, the easier it becomes to troubleshoot problems and make better decisions about the tools you use. In other words, understanding the digital world restores a sense of control. And in a world increasingly shaped by invisible systems, that understanding is becoming a form of modern and professional literacy. In future videos, I'll shed light on other essential aspects of technology, the underlying structures of tech we never see but increasingly rely on. Things like how AI works, how your data is used, and what this ever-expanding system of technology means for us as individuals. If you haven't already, why not subscribe to the Layered Future channel so you don't miss any of it? As always, thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the future. This video was based on my writing over at layeredfuture.com. If you'd like to explore the full article or browse through other topics, you'll find it all there.